What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to DXB Crypto. In this video, we want to touch on Zebec and in particular, this massive sell candle. And I want to tell you who's behind it and what's going on and how many tokens they still have in order to make these, make some sense on these massive sell-offs. Of course, I'm also going to give you a level where I think Zebec will bottom eventually. Smash a like, plenty to talk about today. But first of all, the good news is the United States economy is slowing down. Okay, this is really positive for crypto. Of course, it means that the Fed has to act. So what everybody's missed out is a sluggish economy means liquidity returns in the winter months. So the Fed rate hikes all of a sudden go off the table for now, based on the fact that the US economy has expected negative growth compared to what obviously they wanted to project, which is around just over 2%, and they only grew 1.5%. That is absolutely huge. It means the Fed may eventually have to pivot. We may have to stop talking about the energy-induced inflation, of course, exacerbated by Trump's disastrous war in Iran, which is feeding into the CPI and other inflation metrics, especially not the one that just went, but the next one is going to be quite crucial. Okay, so let's go and talk about what are the major story. $50 million in Bitcoin was stolen from hardware wallets. Okay, in particular, Coldcard called MK3. So this had all of the, it had predictable seed phrases. The funds were stolen through the seed phrases. So what criminals are doing right now is basically loading cards with their own seed phrases and selling it as a business and then eventually draining that. So if you are using a card related hardware storage, you may also want to have a secondary backup with a ledger or something else in terms of your seed phrases, because definitely this is a massive historical cold storage. 500 cold wallets in 25 minutes, 38 million drained. The attacker never touched a single device. So if you are a Coldcard MK3 owner, move your coins today, move them immediately. Okay. And that is going to be fair, the advice that I've been giving in the Discord and telling people move the coins from exchanges. And we've seen Accent, BitMEX, Bitmart all go down within the space of a couple of weeks. So this is very clear. It also signals when you see exchanges falling anyway, it does signal a market shift in terms of the overall structure. But these hackers are active. They are after your coins, and you've got to diversify your risk by making sure you use obviously more than one type of storage. But what we saw is the price of Bitcoin absolutely tanked after this news. Now, it could well be, of course, the macro dynamics as well. I had a very nice Bitcoin trade that I was in, and I closed it with profit. And right now, what I'm thinking overall, my thesis remains the same. The $62,000 range, I have a ABC wave in this purple line, and I do believe that obviously we have taken the B wave here at around $62,000, and that C wave potentially is going to induce a bull trap. What do I mean by that? So the price comes up, and we've obviously hit the top of this parallel channel, which if you see it on the weekly, you'd understand this is our entire bear market structure. From the highs to the lows, we've just been producing a bunch of bear flags along the way, and this current one is no exception. But what this one will do is potentially break out of this resistance at $65,000, $67,000, and then trap a lot of people by thinking, yeah, liquidity is here and the market is really amazing right now. You can see the RSI is kind of coming up to neutral on the weekly, but it could potentially break down. Now, my next story is Zebec. Now, somebody in the Discord today, big up to Danny, was asking me about ZBCN and whether I hold it. And I told him yes, but I really wanted to show you what's going on. These are unbelievably, this is a clip, right? This single candle here on the hourly is a clip. Now, who's clipping this? And the seller is a whale and the largest Zebec holder who holds over 20% of the token. What we want to do is come up to Nansen, and of course, big up to Nansen's as well, channel partners. If you want a discount on this, I can't live without this. This is elevated all my investments. And of course, if you use the code DXB at checkout, you get the full link. You should be able to grab some Nansen as well. But if we want to do this analysis, right, and this is what we do in the community privately, not everybody holds this. You can also join our community and ask me to run certain coins on here. There is one whale who holds over 20% of the token. Now, this particular whale has been selling absolutely hard. So when you see that candle, right, on Zebec, so if we go to the Zebec candles, right, and we go to the, so if you look at this, let me just drag this down a little bit so we can actually look at this in more details. Now, if you look at trades, buys and sells, you can actually see who's been clipping and, of course, the amount of ZBC they've been selling, and, of course, exchanging it into whatever. So we can see here, pretty large buys, 11 million buy there. This happened about 17 hours ago. I think that's a whale that wanted to bring the candle back up. But if you take this action, right, let's put a filter in here. Let's look at these trades. Let's just break down these trades further. Okay. DCA orders, balances. Yeah, let's go through the balances. So what you will see, every single major buy and sell within Zybeck presents a different opportunity. Now, in my opinion, I think Zybeck is still a massively brilliant project. I think it's obviously they've integrated World Liberty Financial stablecoin. Some people are saying the Trump, integrating to World Liberty Financial was a mistake and they should have gone with a different stablecoin, but it is an American-made coin. Now, obviously, apart from obviously who's buying and who's selling, when you look at the distribution, you've got to look at the top holders by wallets, right? And this is obviously going to give you an insight. It doesn't even matter if it's Zebec. It could be any coin. We can look at who's holding balances, whether they are distributing, what type of wallets they have, and obviously who's buying, who's selling, and that kind of information. So I want to show you something interesting here, okay? So exchange wallet flows, neutral, but of course, informative. These are going to give us whether these coins are being moved and whether these coins are stagnant, i.e. large non-exchange holders and their behavior. Multiple meme coin whales are in ZBCN. All right. Multiple Solana millionaires are in ZBCN as well. But if you look at this, what you will see is the dominant signal is net distribution at the top. The number one whale, who holds 21% of the supply, has shed 58 million over the last 30 days. That's a lot, right? Several other large private holders, and these are the wallet tags, are also trimming. And of course, that is the reason why CBCN has had that large, those large sale orders that you saw. So at the end of the day, the project has this dominant whale who is distributing quite aggressively. Okay. So that's what we need to look at. That's what we need to watch. He's down on his PNL here in the last 6 months. What is he? Net PNL here, net worth $50 million. And he's down about $6 million, 7% win rate. I mean, this is a fantastic Solana whale who holds, you can see here, he's down 42% on his Zebec. Obviously, he's down on everything else there is. But we get people like that. And of course, retail often says, man, we are losing this and that. Of course, yeah, we've got to, protecting money is quite key. But look at this whale. He's dead on Trump. He's absolute H&T, 90%, right? You've got Zebec, 2.8 million down. And then he started dumping at the lows. Now, this is exactly what you don't want to do. This is exactly what you don't want to do. You don't want to be selling at the bottom of the bear market. If you're going to learn something key, that is probably the most important lesson. But his balance is rather concerning. He's got 20 billion here of the Zybeck token, basically. And of course, he's holding Solana, $8 million, Render. This guy is well off. This guy don't give a damn about where the tokens goes. He's holding grass. So I'm keeping an eye. Instead of just blindly buying it, I'm going to continue to analyze his distribution and see what else he's offloading. He's predominantly a Solana whale, right? You've got all of these little other, these are negligible values anyway. So I'm going to keep you up to date with whatever happens, but he sold in a single transaction a massive amount of ZBCN, and that's why you see on the chart exactly what's going on. All right, so let's keep it moving. In my summary, listen, guys, I'm going to be coming back to doing a lot of lives, but this is one of the key reasons why I made this video. And please, please, please don't get caught out. Exchanges are falling. Move your crypto over exchanges. Make sure you're obviously keeping things in cold storage, but have, a card, maybe, Tangems, one key. They've been pretty safe. But I wouldn't trust everything into one. I also use a ledger as well. So just spread yourself around, and that is going to be the key. All right. Smash a like, obviously, if you find this video valuable. Join the community. It's only $9 a month, and it's going to save you a lot of money in the end. Take care, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.